And
Good
evening, Europe.
Good evening, Rafa, as well.
Well, good evening, everybody. How are you doing, Dominic? And good morning, Australia. But first of all, happy Eurovision month. It is.
Yeah. Hopefully we will have Eurovision this month, yes.
Oh, yeah, no,
Well,
we need to, honestly.
So good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of our Titina Talks.
Well, welcome, everybody. And let me launch tonight's question, because tonight is going to be everything related to a non-European country, which we anticipated that last time that we went live on StreamYard. And as you can see here, this flag should really tell you what country we're talking about. So let me ask you to interact with us tonight, comment live, because we will be able to see your comments live and show them live. We have William. Hi, guys. And let us ask you, what is your all-time favorite Israeli Eurovision entry to Eurovision, of course? So let us know, comment live and share your knowledge with us. But tonight we're not going to be alone.
No, Rafa, we're not going to be alone. As you said, we have special guests tonight. So tonight is all about Israeli Eurovision history, and to comment this Eurovistory the Eurovistory of this country we all love. We have a special guest tonight, directly from hopefully warmer Tel Aviv. Ladies and gentlemen, Noam Roth.
Hey.
We don't have any boyfriend, actually, so we're not.
My boyfriend decided to
it's
join.
It's going to be a full-sum tonight about Eurovision story. Noam, welcome. I know you told me you're not from Tel Aviv, you're from Haifa, right?
Yes, I'm from Haifa.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's an hour. It's an hour out from Tel Aviv, but it's close enough. It's close enough.
Exactly, it is. So, Noam, welcome to tonight's episode of Titina Talks. As you know, this is like my grandmother's living room, so feel home, feel free, and feel at ease. Now, gentle friends, I'm so curious to ask you the first question that we launched. We already have one answer from William, and he said that Dana is his all-time favorite entry in Eurovision from Israel. Yeah, but Dana actually... Yeah, as I can see. Diva, of course. And he also says, Shalom. So shalom to you, my dear. Shalom to you. So, guys, what is your all-time favorite Israeli entry in Eurovision?
I have an answer.
Yeah.
Do you?
Go ahead. I'm curious.
So you go first and then I'll go.
My all-time Israeli favorite. First of all, excuse me for my voice.
No worries at all.
My all-time Israeli favorite have to be 1990 Rita Shara Barchovot.
Wow.
It was so beyond of his time. It's an amazing song. Definitely my number one.
Okay, what about you, Noam?
Well, my favorite song changes very frequently. So I would say that today, this moment, my favorite Israeli entry is definitely Shiri Maimon.
Wow.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, sing for us, please. Oh.
No,
you don't want to. But Dominic, we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we always ask questions to our friends, but gentle friends, I'm curious to know what is your all-time favorite Israeli entry in Eurovision.
So I love Israel as a country in Eurovision, but I fell in love with Israel very recently. So my favorite, for many reasons, and I think you guys can understand why as well, is Imri Ziv.
Oh,
That's the interview.
surprising choice.
For many reasons.
Let me
Mainly
guess.
for the boys. Mainly for the boys.
Number of reasons.
Well,
No, mainly it's for the boys. Yeah.
not because of his Instagram feed, right?
No, absolutely.
Not at all. Not because of his chest and his abs. Right? Not at all. His voice, his charisma, uniqueness, and nerve.
No, but for sure, Netta is one of my favorite ever. Anyway.
Right.
Wait a minute.
But
This is
let's
gonna be
kick off
useful.
this episode. I know, but let's kick off the episode. So keep on commenting, keep on telling us what is your all-time favorite Israeli entry in Eurovision Song Contest.
So, Noam, let's kick tonight's episode with a question we have taken by the various comments we have found so far. Eurovision has meant integration for Israel within the European community. Do you believe that this integration process is still going ahead, or maybe Israel is more interested in the competition in order to bring their own musical style and music in general on stage?
Yeah. Well, I think on the one hand, I have to say something that is very, I think, pretty unique to Israel is that every single year, the song that we send to the Eurovision Song Contest is completely done by Israelis. We usually do not have songs that, you don't hear about Israeli songs that were pitched to maybe other countries, and that this song was supposed to participate in a pre-selection in a different country. That doesn't really happen here. Every time it's Israelis that are behind the Israeli song. So I really think that a lot of people in the local music industry see Eurovision as a way of exporting the Israeli music to Europe, because on the other hand, you can see Israelis that have either participated for other countries or have written music for other entries. It just doesn't really happen the other way around. It might be because Israel is a little bit isolated, because for us to travel to Europe it has to be like with a plane. We can't just drive our way to a neighboring country and do that. But also,
not your neighboring countries, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Well, we would love to see Lebanon joining Eurovision Song Contest.
That almost happened.
Yeah, we would love to see that. I think that would be awesome. And I think we also would love to see Morocco come back.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely, yes, you're right.
But as you said, Israel exports lots of music, also thanks to Eurovision. But don't you think, because in the past, yesterday and 2 days ago, I was reading more about Israel in the competition, and especially in the 70s, Eurovision was almost a way to bring closer Europe to Israel. So, do you think that this is still the case? Do you think Eurovision is still that bridge that connects Israel and Europe, even if just for a week during the year? Or do you think this link is broken? Is something not updated anymore?
No, I think it's very much so. I think Israel sees itself as more European or more Western. And definitely we see ourselves as part of the European community. And I think Eurovision is a part of that. Also in sports, the Israeli teams play in the European leagues. So yeah, for sure, Eurovision is part of our link to Europe. Yes. Definitely.
But then we also have to think one thing, that it's, with the presence of all the Jewish people coming from all over the world, especially Eastern Europe. I mean, Israel is the most European country in the Middle East, which is something we need to think about, even in terms of culture. I mean, the input of culture that Israel has received is a lot based also on the European one. I mean, it's amazing when you travel to Israel how, for a European, you really feel home, which is just great. And that's something that we have to recognize to the Israeli people, which are always so welcoming with foreigners.
Yeah, we love to have you here. So everybody who's online,
I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, we love to have you here.
Everyone is vaccinated here.
So do we. So are we, basically. So are we at the moment. I just missing the second job, but it's coming. It's coming. So for the summer, I shall be ready to travel to Israel again. Now, guys, before we move on to the next question, there's a video which I would really, really love to watch with you and comment later on. So give me a second, because I'm doing everything alone here. So let's do that.
Eh bien, mesdames et messieurs, le concours est fini. C'est Israël qui gagne.
Ja, meine Damen und Herren,
avec
das ist
100.
das Ende dieser.
כשהיינו ילדים, אהבנו בסוד הסודות, אל מי היינו
The sun is above. I know that we're having some problems with the stream of this video. It's very heavy. I know.
Croatia, Israel have won it.
But the music is not
Israel
really-
have won it by 7.
Let's see. Sorry, there was a mistake, a little issue.
Yeah, there is a bit of a problem. I can notice this.
Let's continue. You will listen
Let's
to
stop the video.
Let's stop it for a second.
There
Let's
is
see if
some,
we
some
can.
technical problem. Sorry,
Yes.
guys.
We were having
I'm
so
very-
much fun.
Yeah.
I know. Let's start it again. Let's see if we can go on. Otherwise, we'll just listen to the audio. And
We've
it
got
shall
only
be
just
fine.
one mission.
Look at her. That was a moment in history, really. I'm so sorry for Cyprus, really. The Kulu was just great. So, guys, I'm sorry for the issues with the video. It's going to be better maybe next time. But in the meanwhile, something I'd like
You can
to
imagine we
ask-
heard this song a lot.
Well, the thing is that we understood which songs we were talking about, and that is
Of course.
back home. They understood because they're all Eurovision lovers. Now, we know that the Israel has hosted Eurovision 3 times. I've lost my question. I'm sorry. As hosted Eurovision 3 times during the entire story of Eurovision since it started and since Israel started to participate in it.
And always with a gap of 20 years. We need to say that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That
Very
was
ordered.
Hopefully the next time won't take us so long.
for sure. No, for sure. No. I mean, I do have to be honest to you guys. I really thought that last year you did have a chance to win it again with that song.
Really?
Really.
I did. I mean,
With
we can talk about this.
Second
Yeah. To be honest to you guys, the song was so representative of your country. It had the
Yes.
sound. It had the culture in it. It had the mix of cultures and sounds that Israel is all about. So the little bit of Arabic, the little bit of African, the little bit of Middle Eastern, the little bit of even Western European sounds in a way or another. I have to be honest. Idan Reichel, which was one of the composers, one of the creators of songs, made a great job on that song, and it was really representative of your country. And I really had
Along with Doron Madali, who wrote Soy.
exactly. So you see, the combination of the song producers and songwriters was perfect. And then the voice, Eden's voice was like really heavenly voice, a real heavenly voice. So
It's very
and it still
talented.
is even this year, even though I do think that the song doesn't have the strength to really, pass the message of an Israeli cultural song. But that we're going to talk about it later. Now, we know that Israel, as Dominic said, has hosted every 20 years, or 3 times, the Eurovision Song Contest. And the most recent one in 2019, actually really gave the impression that Israel was on top of everything. You really scored. You really made a great show for the entire world. I mean, even Madonna had to come over there, and she was astonished with with all the organization. That
So much so that she lost her voice.
I know. Well, she lost her voice, and she also. I mean, I was in the press room that year. Maybe you were there too, but we didn't know each other yet. And we know that she was not even really willing to perform. She was there, and she was acting like a prima donna. But we know how she is, and we love.
There is only one prima donna in Eurovision history.
That one is
Alla Pugacheva.
So, basically, I'd like to know if the Eurovision Song Contest in 2018 really brought great changes to the city and the country, and how did you guys leave the Eurovision time in Israel, in Tel Aviv, which was completely changed and super organized? I remember when I came over. And what really Eurovision Song Contest left to the city of Tel Aviv and to the Israeli country in itself?
So I think that one of the most major things that happened is that people started paying attention to Eurovision a lot more and taking it a lot more seriously than before, because a lot of people saw the extent of the production and how much you need to put in to such a show, to bringing such a show to the television screen. And I think before that, people were kind of I think the atmosphere was towards Eurovision was sort of like it is in the United Kingdom, where it's kind of like this kind of joke that we participate in every year. And I think now people take it a lot more seriously. People respect the competition a lot more, and the production and the people who go there. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of love now towards the competition, more than there was before. And in terms of Tel Aviv, the city, we still have some of the monuments that were erected for Eurovision. Like there were like these big like photos of the Eurovision winners that were put on some of the buildings in Tel Aviv. They're still there. And every time that we drive
by the expo,
by the expo, we say hi Expo, hello Expo, hi Eurovision.
The air balloon is not there any longer, right? It just
Yes, of course it is. Of course it is.
Is it still there? Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Every single day.
They didn't move it. They didn't remove it.
No, it's still there. Yep.
How about Netta's big statue made with recycled plastic and toys on the beach in between Yafo and Tel Aviv?
So the statue isn't there, but there is a painting of her on the streets of Tel Aviv and like one of the walls, and that is still there for sure. Yes.
There's also some sort of a mosaic they made in Jaffa, I think.
Yeah. So there are still in parts of the city, there are still, like I said, monuments that were erected for the competition are still there, and I think that there's no plan of taking them down. They're going to stay with us for many, many years to come.
And one thing that I really loved in Tel Aviv, I mean, the way that Israeli people love to make a joke about almost everything. So basically, when you were arriving in Tel Aviv, you saw all these posters for Eurovision. So good luck, all participants. Good luck in the Eurovision Song Contest in English. And then just below that, they had something written in Hebrew. No, you're joking. Good luck, Kobe. Something like that. I mean, I'm not very good in Hebrew. I mean, especially reading sometimes. But I was like, mate, are they really making a joke about the other participants? No. And then my friend, which leaves that. Yes, they are. Oh my God, I love them. And is the level of security in the entire country, still matching with the one that all participants to Eurovision and all the fans that came for Eurovision in Israel actually enjoyed during those days? So I remember big level of security, police almost everywhere, and great services of public transportations, even on a Shabbat, when we know, I mean, nowadays things have changed, but back in 2019, they were still arguing about whether if they wanted to keep the Shabbat for public services or not. I mean, is that still a good level of all services that Eurovision have left to the country?
So in terms of the security, that is always the case in Israel. There's a security guard in every entrance to every mall. They check your bags whenever you go into any like public building or like public facility.
Public transportation.
Yeah, public transportation. That's been the reality that we live in for many, many years now, because of many reasons and politics and stuff that I really
we're not going to talk tonight.
Yeah, and in terms of like the services, again, it's still the case. They're still arguing over there at the Capitol Hill whether or not we should have buses on Shabbat, which is Saturday, the holy day of the Jewish people. So they're still at it. I think they're still going to be at it. I don't know if you heard, but we've had 5 elections in the past.
Yeah, I've heard that. I mean, that's something that just came over to Europe too, that you've heard like a couple of elections.
Yeah.
We're like Belgium. Nothing changed, right? No, right.
We're like Belgium now. We cannot really agree on anything.
But now let's talk about something more, let's say, closer to us. So Eurovision Song Contest, as you all know, has always had a strong appeal for the LGBTQ plus community, and the majority of singers on that stage have always shown a great support for the rainbow community all around the world. So, as we said, Eurovision brings to the screens of all Europe strong LGBT plus messages every year. And we know that, I mean, if we look back at the Israeli entries, we have done international Ovistar, but also Netta that brought a message of change and acceptance to the stage. So do you think that these values that Israel has brought in the past years really identify Israeli values on open society and LGBT, or is it's just an appearance, just something to look good in the eyes of the rest of Europe?
Well, it's a complex question.
Yeah.
It depends if you want me to answer it or I'll let you go.
I guess that we'll have different answers.
And we're curious to listen to them, both of them.
Really curious.
So you go first. Oh.
Well, I'll be more on the critique side, and I will say that life as an LGBT in Israel is not awful, but not as sugar-coated as shown by images of Dana International and Kovistar participating in Eurovision and presenting their showcase to the world. Life here is still hard in terms of basic rights and things that the LGBT community and especially the trans community have to go through, and have a lot of critique about it. And it kind of sucks to see how the government and all the public and all the people who hold public jobs use the success of LGBT people from Israel in order to show them their success. And
I heard of these critics it's called pink showers, when government wants to hide. When basically the governments want to hide their homophobic approach to society through the adoption of new LGBT-friendly roles or laws or whatever. But so do you think that's the case in Israel as well?
But as both of us are LGBTQ activists, and I would say that having those people in our life, those examples of LGBT, of famous people from Israel doing well in the world and showing the large community, the Israeli community in Israel to the world, helps at least a little on our way for justice.
Absolutely.
So it's not for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, tell me.
So,
Tell me.
funnily enough, I agree 100% with what Ol said.
Oh,
I will say
Thanks,
that,
God.
yeah, I will say that it's not like the majority of people in Israel hold ideas that are completely different from that. So Dana International and Chovistar and Neta Barzilai, they do represent a big chunk of people who have the same ideas in Israel. It is very hard to translate that into politically, rights and things like that. But I remember the night that Dana International won Eurovision, and in one instant, she turned from the butt of a joke to the pride of the nation, for real. For people like my parents, who are Jewish religious people, they could look at Dana International and see, this is someone that has made me proud to be Israeli. And for me, being a teenager at the time, that changed my world. Dana International changed my world in one moment that she won.
Well, I think
the
that Dana
Eurovision
International
Song
changed the world to almost every gay person in
the 90s.
Israel at that time. But even like in Europe, I mean, Europe was, yes, a little bit ahead of the times in terms of, LGBT recognitions, and I mean, ahead, not all the countries, of course. I mean, if we think about Italy, we're still much behind, but still, it was just a big shock for the entire European community to see a transsexual person finally being recognized as a woman on that stage and as a winner. So I do think that Dana International really opened so many doors for the LGBT community in Europe and in Israel, like ahead of the times, to be honest to you. And I don't know if you do agree with this, but I honestly think that she did that, and she still deserves to be recognized for that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the answer to your question, like a lot of questions about Israel and about specifically Israel and Eurovision, is complicated.
yeah.
It is. And I think we can be even more polite saying Israel is not only Tel Aviv.
That's also true. Yeah. It's also Haifa.
I know it's Haifa. It's right. Okay. Bye. I'm saying bye. Right. Bye. Now it's also Haifa. It's also all the other cities around Israel, which might be a little bit more conservative than Tel Aviv, where instead if you go, definitely, you just feel like a snail, like leaving your saliva almost everywhere with all those hot guys. But let's be back to our night. So
breathe, Rafa, breathe.
Let me have a glass of a little sip of wine. So to talk about your culture, if my computer allows me to show a video now, but we're going to comment because there's no audio in this video because YouTube did not allow us to do so. But I'd like to comment with you. What we're seeing now is the performance of Idan Reichel project during a Eurovision Song Contest 2019 in Tel Aviv. I do think that on that stage with Idan Reichel and the group and everyone involved around that, Israeli people were really able to show their culture, their music, the integration that people in Israel really want to have differently from politicians and some extremists. You always have to think that extremism is never good, and that's something we all agree on. Now, people say that notwithstanding Israel's young age, this country has always been able to bring a great portrait of its traditions, music, history, culture, music mix of all the cultures in that music. So I just want to know who that guy is too. If you can see, I'm in love with him. He's the father of my kids. He
Well,
still
that's the
doesn't know
guy
that.
who sang.
And
Yeah.
his name is Luai Ali.
Okay, send me his contact details. I'm gonna call him
Write it down.
later.
I think he's
Because
married.
I don't
He
care.
was
I'm not
just getting
jealous,
married.
really. I'm not really jealous. No worries at all. I don't care. He's gonna be the father of my kids. Anyway, told you that.
No, but
Which is, as I said, all this history and music is made of all the other traditions of the Jewish people who went to Israel on their Aliyah. So how much do you agree with this statement that you will always able to portray your country and your culture on that stage? And what is your point of view on these?
So again, I think that we will have different answers.
I'll let you start this time.
And
Okay.
that's just great. We love when people do not
Just this guy specifically that you showed, he's not Jewish. He's I think he's Druze.
Yeah, I think he's Druze.
Mhm.
We're there, culturally. I don't care. Right.
So I think on the one hand, I think it's true. We have been able to bring a lot of the culture of the Jewish population mainly to the Eurovision stage. There have been people who are Yemenite and people who are Moroccan and people who are Ashkenazi on the Eurovision stage. But 20% of the population in Israel is Arab. And
We only had one.
And we only had one entry ever in the history of the contest that featured a singer who's Arab. And even that was only when the person who was asked to participate, Achinoam Nini, Noah, insisted that she would only do it if Mira Awad would be representing with her. And so that happened. I wish that we would be able to showcase the full extent of the cultural diversity that we have in this country. And, we're celebrating Ramadan this month. I live in a mixed neighborhood, and so I get to see and feel the other culturals that's around me, that's part of this country, and I wish we could bring that, and we would bring that to the Eurovision stage as well. So, like I said, it's complicated. Yes, we do bring a lot of diversity and a lot of representation to the Eurovision stage, and we can do even better.
Yeah, you should. I think we touched a very important aspect of Israel. I mean, it's so rich culturally, but then on Eurovision stage, sometimes we always see the same genre of music, and sometimes it would be nice instead of it would be nice to explore and all the different musical phases of the country. Because for the little I know from Israel, it's so rich, and I think one edition wouldn't be enough. One edition of Eurovision wouldn't be enough to explore all the styles that Israel can bring to stage. But saying this, I always consider Israel, together with Ukraine and Sweden, one of the best countries performing in Eurovision. This is mainly because Israel always know. It's like if you guys always know what to bring to stage, what to choose, how to represent. I mean, I take as an example Italy, for example, my country. We always bring good songs, but one of our main problem is the promotion and the staging process. While Israel can bring a song that apparently looks a bit weaker if we consider the musical side, but then when it comes to the staging process, Israel does always an amazing job. And do you think that this way we changed, in your opinion, in the past years did not respect the high quality level previously reached by other artists? And to link to what Rafa said before, which entries did not represent Israeli culture in the best possible way?
Well, for this, there were 4 consecutive years that we did not qualify for the Eurovision for the Eurovision finals.
The hard years.
Yeah, the difficult years. So I think there was a time when the Israeli delegation didn't know how to stage a song properly. I think May Feingold is the perfect example.
So we're thinking about the same person. We were thinking about the same person. She was a bit
great singer. She is a great singer. I think the song was pretty solid, but the stage performance was not up to par.
Yeah.
And
also Moran Mazor.
Yeah, Moran Mazor is another good example of that.
We talk about ping pong in 2000.
No. So ping pong, you know what? With ping pong, I think that they did their thing.
Mm-hmm.
They did their thing. I personally, I think that song was ahead of its time.
I think so.
Yeah. So I loved it. I think the song was great. But again, the Israeli delegation that year was a little disconnected from the group.
The thing about ping pong, and the thing about many Israeli delegations that were sent ahead of 2015, where this is when the system of choosing and directing the Israeli performances has changed, and had many problems with people from the previous broadcasting channel who didn't take them too seriously. So it was like Noam said, they're choosing a song to do Eurovision, then go on, be on your own.
They be like San Marino until last year, basically.
Yeah,
something like that.
But we've seen a lot of change lately with delegations in Eurovision, so really taking into serious consideration their participation to the contest. We've seen with San Marino, for example, we had a little chat with Zenit, and we can see they're really willing to win. They're pushing for that. They're really working hard on that. And you Israeli people did the same with Netta, for example.
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure that if you did not, if you're not the host of the Eurovision Song Contest in 2019, your song would have really qualified for the final. I mean, Kobe has a great voice, but unfortunately, that song was still missing something.
There were great songs in 2019 that stayed in the semifinal.
Yep. But look. So I think that when you host the competition, you kind of have the prerogative of choosing something that you know might not qualify, but you still, it's like your dream to send something like that. And Kobi Marimi gave something that's a little bit, do you know what a cantor is? So it's like a person that sings the prayer in the Jewish synagogue, and that's the sort of vibe. Yeah, the Chazan. So that's the sort of vibe that he gave, and I think a lot of Israelis really tapped into that and really wanted to see that on the Eurovision stage. And what I think happened was that the people in charge of the process of choosing the entrant, they knew that we didn't want to win again. And they knew that we would definitely be in the final because we're hosting. So they said to themselves, you know what? Yeah, let's do this.
I don't think that Israel is any special doing it. I think we see it in many host countries' entries during the past years.
Yeah,
sending something special. The Portuguese entry from 2018 is something like this, and also, I can't find a good example.
Well, the Ukrainian one in 2017 was very left field. It was so when you are hosting, you can take more risks and more chances.
Absolutely.
So I think that's part of the reason, because I don't think anybody wants to win 2 years in a row anymore.
No.
It's just too much.
This is so 90s.
And that's why you didn't host in 1980 after winning the year before for the second time.
Oh yeah. Well,
Exactly. That was it. That was it. But let's talk about your entrance and let's talk about the one that you're bringing this year.
yeah.
Let's see. Can you hear the audio?
No,
No.
can't hear nothing.
Guys, I don't
But
know
probably it's a good
what's
thing.
happening.
Emma,
You know what I will do?
No one,
Wait.
no one
I
can
will
do the
do
whistle note
something
in the
like
end.
this. I will do something like this now. We'll show the video directly here on the screen. Sorry. That's the nice thing of when you're live and you never know how the computer reacts to videos showing here. So I know. I hope it works this time, guys.
Miracle. Interesting.
Well, I'm not going to call her. It's past.
As you can see,
Doesn't work.
your NDA images do not match. So, we were talking about Israeli's entry this year, Eden Alen's song with Set Me Free. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer tonight, so that's the nice things. So, it Set Me Free. How did you react to the revamp of the song, and what is your feeling about this year entry? So, what do you think about your entry? Do you think it's going to qualify to the final?
Do you want to see an imitation of us reacting to the revamp?
My
Yes, please. I
God.
go.
God. Okay, so this is a good moment for me to plug my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel called Eurofreak. It's written down here, Eurofreak.
Yeah.
So you can go check it out at www.youtube.com/Eurofreak2. And I do speak about this in Hebrew, but I think you can tell. Before the revamp, Set Me Free was the song that I voted for in the Israeli pre-selection.
Yeah.
But even though that was the song that I voted for, that I thought had the best chance of doing the best at the contest, I really didn't think it was going to qualify. I didn't think it was strong enough. But after the revamp, it turned for me from being a non-qualifier to being a qualifier. Now I think we have a good shot of qualifying. If Eden nails the whistle notes, I think that will
That's the
drive
thing.
it home.
The whistle, Mariah Carey, who? Really?
Yeah, and it comes at a point in the song. It's like an apex. It's like a peak. And
Goes on and goes on and
catches
goes
you
on.
off guard. You're enjoying the song. You're saying, yeah, it's a nice beat. And then all of a sudden she comes up with the whistle notes, and you're like, oh my God, this just happened. And
I mean, it's the time of the night when we can say, the fuck, really? She made that? She was able to sing like that? Was like,
yeah. So, and I think it's really good that it comes at the ending of the song, because that means that I think a few like good seconds into maybe even minutes into the next song that is going to be performed after her, people are still going to be talking about the whistle notes that she did. So I think that makes a good Eurovision entry.
Who's performing after us in the semifinal?
I don't know. Anyway, I think it makes a really good Eurovision entry. I think we have a very good chance of qualifying. And whether or not we're going to do good at the final, I think that has more to do with how the performance looks on stage. And I have no idea how it's going to look on stage.
That would be Romania. Good luck, Roxanne, for performing after us.
Really
so what do you think? What's your favorite? What's your favorite entry this year then?
San Marino! Yay! That means
and for you all,
Adrenalina. So you want to come over to Italy?
Yes.
Adrenalina.
San Marino winning.
As she says, with that really rolled R that we really love.
And for you, Or, what's your favorite entry this year?
That would be Norway and Bulgaria.
Norway. Wow. Okay.
That's quite interesting.
Nobody said it so far.
Well, I can't take responsibility for everyone.
By the way, I do want to say that today I am celebrating 30 years of being a Eurovision fan, because my first ever Eurovision Song Contest
in Italy.
was in 1991. That was the first one that I saw. That made me a Eurovision fan. So today I am 30 years a Eurovision fan.
Well, Noam, if you became
Thank you.
Noam, if you became a Euro fan watching that edition of Eurovision, you deserve an award from me, Bill. You really deserve an award.
This one is perfect. It's the best one. Oh my god.
I think I became a Eurovision fan that year that May Feingold was completely robbed. And that was the same year that even Susie was robbed. And I was like very upset. I said, no, this cannot happen. Yeah, quero ser tu, exatamente. So, well, guys, we really, really, really enjoyed a lot being with you here tonight. I'm sorry for the technical issues we had with the songs. I really worked hard to get all these videos ready, and together with Dominique, which I always thank for being my partner in crime, and to you guys for sharing your time, your love for Eurovision, and your knowledge with us all.
Thank you.
Everyone who watched us, thank you very, very much. We appreciate your comments, especially William. And I did receive other comments here, but if you did not give your authorization to Facebook to show your name, unfortunately, I cannot see it. So, guys, as we always say, good night, Europe, and good morning, Australia. We'll see you next time, next Tuesday, with another episode of Titina's Talks.
Yeah.
Good night.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.